I'm legally insane, and I have with me here 5 Nintendo Switch game pickups that I recently obtained. Every single one of these games I got downtown by the 7-Eleven that sits on the corner of 69 Ave and Bangerville Street. That's where your mother is. But I wasn't there to see your mother this particular week. I was there to pick up these bangers. There's guaranteed at least 1 or 2 games in here that you never even knew existed. Complete hidden gem. And I'm going to tell you why I got each one of these games, what I paid for each one of these games, and why you might also be interested in obtaining some of these games for yourself. But before we get started, I just want you to know that I am legally insane, and we are currently drinking Battletoads G Fuel out of a Macho Man Randy Savage G Fuel cup. Oh man, and it's good stuff too, by the way. Oh yeah, that's good. Let's get started. Let's start off with a game that you likely have never heard of before. This is called Missions Hind. This is a Nicalis game, or Nicalis, however you say it. These are the guys that make Binding of Isaac. They're also kind of famous for coming out with a lot of hidden gems. They create a lot of real under-the-radar games every now and then they'll hit a home run. Check out Blade Strangers. It's a fighting game, arguably better than Marvel vs. Capcom 2. The only flaw is it doesn't have very many characters. But that's a fighting game that Nicalis made. Complete hidden gem, completely under the radar. So every now and then they make a game that just goes under the radar. This is an arcade / simulation style air combat game where you are flying helicopters. So I like to say it's got some flight sim in it. Other people will argue that it's just pure arcade action. But I don't consider it that, okay? I consider it flight sim because the controls are not super easy. When I picture an arcade flight game, I'm picturing Star Fox 64. Like real simple stuff. I should be able to pick up a controller, push up and down, drive, and shoot. But these helicopter games, they're not that simple. The buttons do get kind of complicated. But this game also tries to simplify that for you because you have 3 different options on how exactly you're going to fly the plane. The helicopter. Or helicopters, because there are also multiple helicopters. I believe there's 6 different helicopters, different weaponry, lots of customization, lots of options, variations. But just know that the flight controls are not super easy, but they're still simple enough that we're not talking Microsoft Flight Simulator here. Okay, this is still an arcade action style game. So this game here is very similar, and in many ways this is the spiritual successor to an Xbox 360 complete hidden gem, in my opinion, called Apache Air Assault. This is 2-player as well, by the way. 2-player co-op where one of you drives the helicopter and the other person controls the gunner. This is a game, I have played this game, and to be honest, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I know it's a great game. People love this game. The fans that know about this game and the fans that have actually played this game and given it a go, 99% of them will tell you this is a 10 out of 10 awesome game. Now, I tried it and I wasn't able to grasp the controls. Like I said, these helicopter games do get a little complicated. Okay? So knowing that I have played this one, and I sucked at it, so I don't really have much experience with it other than knowing it's good. Be aware of that because this is the spiritual successor. And also know that I was able to play this game. I found that the controls were easier. I put it on whatever the easier mode was for the controls. You have some auto aim to help you doing your shooting, all that stuff. I put all the easy stuff on, okay? And I still found it difficult, but at least I could fly. Whereas when I played Apache Air Assault, I couldn't even beat the first level. Like, I could not figure out the controls. I was not flying the helicopter properly. My brain, my old man brain, just could not grasp the controls. And I don't want to put the time and effort in to figure it out either. Now, what's interesting about this is that you can also do gyroscopic controls, or gyro. I believe it's gyroscopic controls. I'm going to try that next because it might actually be easier. Because I was having trouble landing the helicopter for starters. I swear I was doing it right. I did the tutorial, and it was difficult, but at least I did it. Like, I know that I can beat the game. At least I could complete the tutorial, whereas this game I couldn't even beat the tutorial. Okay, so there's a big difference, but I'm going to try the gyroscopic controls next, because maybe that way it'll be easier if I can turn and you know, go down. If down is just push down in the controls, like Wii motion controls. If I could do motion controls, it'll probably be a lot easier for me. Awesome game though, by the way. Very detailed environments. The graphics are just fine. Some people complain about the graphics, that they only look good from far away, but when you get up close it looks like garbage. Man, who cares? This is just one of those fun games. There's no story, okay? You don't play this for story because there is no story. There's a campaign, but you're not playing it for the story, trust me. Because the story is, here's the mission, go and do it. You can play this online too, as well, by the way, but you're probably going to have to find a buddy to play with if you want to do the co-op missions. There's co-op missions that you can do online. Good luck finding somebody that actually still plays this online, though. This is a pretty old game. It came out in 2020. There's also different helicopter views, which is a common feature, especially in Apache Assault. Air Assault, very similar. There's the pilot and gunner cockpit views, infrared, and guided missile cam. 18 missions and online multiplayer. 6 real-life assault helicopters with configurable weapons. Oh, by the way, at the time of recording, you can get this brand new on Amazon for $42. That's cheaper than the retail price. When this first came out, Nicholas was selling it on their store for $44.99, I think, US dollars. You could probably find it used on eBay for much cheaper. It's not a popular game, and it is a little bit niche, okay? This is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But if you're into that type of game, and if you've ever played helicopter arcade-style combat games before, and you enjoy those types of games, you're going to enjoy this game, but it's not for everyone. Next up, we got Family Feud. Believe it or not, Family Feud, one of the best party games ever made. Because I already know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, that game sucks. Right away, everyone automatically writes off Family Feud. It's like Monopoly. As soon as somebody says Monopoly or Family Feud, they're like, that game sucks. I'm not interested. No, it's not even a good party game. Not interested. Well, I'm here to tell you, I've played this multiple times in multiple provinces with multiple groups of friends. And this is one of the best games. Pick up and play. Anybody and their grandmother can play this. My own mother was playing this. Family Feud. Because guess what you can do? You can play online. So we're not talking, I mean, you could do couch co-op too. You can have team versus team couch co-op. You can do that too. Okay, it says it's up to 10 players. Couch co-op up to 10 players, and online up to 10 players. Which means you can have 5 players per team. Okay? But I played online, and I've never, actually only one time in my entire life did we have trouble finding somebody else online to play against. But that was also because I was playing on a Tuesday afternoon during a work week, okay? But whenever I've tried on weekends, Saturday, Friday nights, I've never had trouble finding other couch co-op groups to play against. And it's hilarious because every team has their own unique team name, so you can come up with a funny team name, which I recommend doing. You don't have to pass the controller, but worst case scenario, you can pass the controller around. Everybody gets their own controller as long as you have 5 controllers. And it's just like real life Family Feud. It's pretty basic stuff. Have you not seen Family Feud? Now, I'm going to tell you the one flaw with this game. Every single time I've played it, I've seen recycled questions. Okay, I don't think they put any effort into this game. I'm not kidding, because I'm not even exaggerating. I wish I was lying to you. But every single time I've played, since the very first game I played, I've seen recycled questions. So I don't know how many questions they actually have in this game, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was 25. Okay, yeah, I'm just saying it would not surprise me. If it was maybe 50. 25 is too low. But it wouldn't surprise me if there was 50 questions in total. But even then, it doesn't matter. It's still fun. And I still recommend it. And by the way, this particular version is the only version that I would ever buy. And the only version I recommend, this one is not a download-only code. They stopped making this. This is actually a little bit of a rare game now. I paid $16, by the way. Price charts for $16, but the price charting is inaccurate because they only produce the coded version now. This is physical edition. That's physical. My case is busted too, by the way, so I actually got ripped off. You can get one for a used one, if you're lucky, if you can even find one for sale. They're usually going for about $30 Canadian. So if you find one, definitely pick it up. I've even thought about upgrading mine because I'm not happy with this case here. But then the question is, okay, do I really want to pay $30 just to upgrade for a family Feud game? And the answer is no. No, a great game, but you're not going to pay $100 for it. I paid $16, I'm happy with that. And by the way, if you do get this game, I'm telling you, I guarantee you will have a blast. I guarantee it. Get a group of friends, family members, all ages, and you will have a blast. I had people, I've played with skeptics that didn't think that this would be fun, and every single one had the time of their life. This is one of my favorite party games. And I've played them all. I played Mario Party, number 2, N64. Played the hell out of that one. I played 007. I played them all. And yet this still makes that top tier list. Let that sink in for a moment. And that's not the G Fuel talking. It's not. Oh yeah, that's good, man. That's good G Fuel.
Here comes another episode.
Step onto the iconic TV stage and compete against other teams to find the top answers to more than 1,500 official Feud surveys.
Name something you wash once a week.
Yourself? Challenge your friends, family, and even other players online in the face-off and try to reach the fast money round for a chance to bring the big prize home.
All right, next up we got... This is a really interesting game. This is called Chaos Head Noah / Chaos Child. I think one of these this is a 2-in-1. You get 2 games here. I think one of them is still in my console because I'm playing it as we speak. Yeah, this one's got a DLC code. I can't share the code. It comes with a DLC code. I'll flip that around. I didn't know it had that DLC code. So the DLC code is for some costumes, but I have not used it yet. Game is in the console. So keep in mind, this is 2 different games, but it also came with a steel book. I don't know why. They called it the Steelbook Launch Edition, but it's the only edition I've ever seen for sale. So I guess perhaps if the game sold really well, they would do a second print. And I guess you wouldn't get the launch edition if they ever do a second print. I've seen them pull this day one crap before. And yet every version that you can only get is a day one edition. So this is the quote launch edition, but just be aware there's no such thing as a non-launch edition. It's 2 games in one. And one is a sequel. So the very first one is Chaos Head Noah, and then the sequel, is my understanding, is Chaos Child. This is a visual novel game. But even if you say you're not into visual novels, this is one of those games that you are guaranteed pretty much to still enjoy. This is like Steins Gate. But this came out before Steins Gate. And I beat Steins Gate, by the way, just recently. I beat Steins Gate. I have it right here. I beat the hell out of this game. I beat this game. Physical edition comes with an 8-bit DLC adventure code, NES style game. Nintendo Switch exclusive is the 8-bit adventure. I beat this game. This game came out the original release came out in 2010, and the original Chaos Head Noah came out in 2008. It's my understanding. This original one was Japan only. And this is the game that launched the sci-fi visual novel series into mainstream. That's my understanding of the history. I'm playing it for the first time. I'm only like, I don't know, an hour in, maybe 2 hours in. So I don't know everything about what's going on just yet. But I've heard nothing but good things. And I heard the same thing about Steins Gate. I went into this blind. I knew nothing about it. I knew that it was sci-fi and that was it. And I give the game a solid 8 out of 10, but it would have got a 10 out of 10 if they had expanded on something that I'm not going to reveal. I'll do that in a separate video, future video coming out on just Steins Gate. And just to prove to you that I beat that game. El Sai Kongru. We're not talking about Steins Gate though, we're talking about Chaos Head Noah. This game's really interesting because the story so far is that the main character is living in Shibuya in Japan, and there's a serial killer on the loose. Like a very mysterious serial killer. And he's killing people in the most gruesome ways possible. Like absolute insanity. Okay, talking about like ripping out your intestines and then feeding it to you. Eat your own intestines while you're dying, because you're not dead yet. Your intestines are being ripped out, but you're still alive. Now you got to eat them. I'm gonna make you eat your own intestines. There's some pretty crazy, wacky stuff, and I don't know everything that's wacky because I'm just learning about the game. I don't know about all the crazy insanity. I'm still learning about the game, so just know that the storyline is that there's a killer on the loose, and he's slaughtering people in very chaotic ways. So, but simultaneously, there's some weird things going on with your own character. Okay, for example, what I know so far, your own character feels like there's somebody watching him. You know how you get that feeling when somebody's actually watching you? You get this feeling like, and they are watching you. Like, you know when somebody's watching you. You just know. You can sense it. It's like a sixth sense. Well, this guy's going through that, and he thinks that somebody's watching him. And he's even starts talking to the person or entity that's watching him. Because maybe he's a little messed up. I don't know yet. But then he's noticing things, and maybe some of them are delusions or not. But somebody writes on the chalkboard a quote that he always says, but he hasn't told anyone about that quote. Somebody wrote it on the chalkboard at school. You know, there's some weird stuff going on. So I like that kind of game. I like detective mysteries, mysterious games where you got to figure things out, or in this case, you know, you're not running around as a detective. It's not an adventure game, but you're still trying to figure things out in your own mind. Like, what's going on here? It makes me feel like I'm a detective. I like the sci-fi, mystery sci-fi games. Steins Gate was no exception. Steins Gate was very similar. Very, very similar. But yeah, I paid retail price for this, by the way. I have seen this go on sale quite often. So it originally retailed for $64.99 Canadian. I got it brand new. I paid full retail, but I have seen it go on sale for $54.99, probably even less. You're definitely going to be able to pick this one up for cheaper. Do not pay $64.99. If it's not already on sale, watch Amazon and watch other websites that sell these types of games, videogameplus.ca, for example.
The very first entry in the Science Adventure series. Real Boot.
6 years after the Shibuya earthquake. In the recovering Shibuya, a new chaos begins.
Okay, next up, we've got Super Mario Odyssey. I finally picked it up. I got a good deal. I paid $31. Steal of a deal. But then when the game actually arrived, I found out why it was $31, because the seller didn't show me pictures of the game. Okay, so everything's in great condition. Case looks fine. The seller showed pictures of the case. So I thought, okay, well, must be in great condition. I bid $31, I win the auction. Every time I see what I'm about to show you, if you are a hardcore collector, I'm telling you right now, sit down. Sit down, relax. Because I get gag reflexes when I see this. And I'm not, I wish I was lying to you. I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm not kidding. I stopped playing this game for this reason. Look at the condition. Now this camera's not going to do it justice, showing you this. It's going to be very hard to pick this up. Guess we'll have to look at it from a distance. See all that damage? I don't know how that happened. I've never seen a Switch game this beat up. You would have to take this game and like rub it on cement for like 3 hours. Just rubbing it on cement back and forth to do that kind of damage. The game works fine. I've played it. And by the way, the reason I originally got this was because I wanted to finally see what all the hype was about. I don't normally pick up these mainstream AAA titles. If you know me, I'm into the strange games, the unique games, the indie games, the hidden gems, RPGs, things like that. So I don't normally get games like this. But I had heard good things, and I had heard this often compared to Super Mario 64, arguably the best Super Mario game ever made. It's up there in the top 3, in my opinion. So I picked it up to see what all the fuss was about. And I said, you know, I'll be the judge if this holds any weight akin to Super Mario 64. I'll be the judge, and I'll tell you if you can say Super Mario Odyssey and Super Mario 64 in the same sentence. I'll be the judge. So I played it. And I'll be the first to admit it's pretty good. It's very similar to Super Mario 64. I could immediately tell within the first 5 minutes of gameplay, I could tell right away this was the next gen version of Super Mario 64. They did a great job. It's so similar on so many different fronts. It just has new mechanics, that's all. And the new mechanics are kind of cool, mainly the possession mechanic with the hat. So that's kind of your equivalent of getting a new type of power-up. Instead of getting new power-ups, if this was a Super Mario 3 equivalent, for example, instead of getting the power-up is that you now possess an enemy. So when you possess a frog, for example, instead of getting a little frog suit like Super Mario 3 and allowing you to jump super high and do frog stuff, instead of doing that, you possess the frog itself instead and actually become a frog. Like you took over the frog's body. So when you take over Bill's body, same idea. There's a whole bunch of different enemies in the game. Certain enemies are possessible, and therefore you become the enemy. It's also 2-player, but the 2-player mode kind of sucks. Second player becomes the hat, but independent control. He can be the hat and he'll throw himself, I guess. Throw himself, because you throw the hat and collect coins, I think, and kill enemies with the hat and stuff. But it's kind of cool, you know, if you have a wife, a sibling, little brother, something like that, you could say, hey, little bro, I'll let you be the hat, right? And you know, that's perfectly fine. That's a cool feature. You didn't get that in Super Mario 64. So the only problem with this game is I don't play it anymore because I get physically ill when I see that. Like, I'm gonna throw up. Like, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. So I'm gonna have to sell this. I'm so disappointed to even have to say that I'm gonna have to sell this. Like, what a shame. But hopefully the person who buys it is not a collector and they just want to play the game. It price charts for $46, commonly sells on eBay for over 50 Canadian dollars, shipped to your door. So I'm going to sell it locally or on eBay, either or. But I am going to replace it. I'm going to have to upgrade. I just can't do it. It makes me, like, even thinking about this game, I get so physically ill that I literally can't play the game anymore. Even though you don't even see the game when it goes in the console, just knowing that the game in the console is this dirty, beat-up game that some complete moron was rubbing on cement, or was a kid, like, chewing on it? I don't even understand. Whoever did that must have been legally insane. Okay, the last game, I've mentioned this one before as well. I had this in a previous video where I talked about the games that I was taking on vacation. But I mentioned at the time that this was also a recent pickup, so it's got to go into my next pickup video. This is the Sega Genesis Classics Collection. They've re-released this game on every console ever made ever since the Xbox 360. Hell, it might have even been on the PS2. But they keep adding games though, so there are changes. The catch with this game over, say, the 360 version, for example, is that this no longer has Sonic 3. They got rid of Sonic 3. Supposedly, the rumor is, and the very likely 99.9999% chance reason they got rid of it is, I guess they lost the rights to the music, because Michael Jackson clearly wrote music for Sonic 3. Keep calling it Sega Genesis 3. Need some more G Fuel. Battletoads G Fuel. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Dang, that's good. It's 3 a.m. by the way. And I'm drinking G Fuel. Stuff keeps you awake. You know there's caffeine in this, right? I gotta go work in the morning. How about that? Well, I got this because I wanted to play it on the Switch. I have the 360 version, but remember, they added new games. More importantly, though, this still has the games that are important. And the most important games are Game Ground, which is one of the best two-player co-op games ever made in history, based on an arcade game. You never find a better game than that game. It's very difficult to describe, but it's classified as an action strategy game. A little bit of a lot of strategy involved. Okay, not puzzles per se, but strategy. You really got to think about what you're doing. Come up with a plan. So when you're playing with a buddy, you got to really come up with a plan. Okay, you can't just go guns in blazing. You cannot do that. You will die and you will lose characters because you also have to rescue different characters. The other great game on here is SWAT, one of my favorite games of all time, Sega Genesis games. Very underrated game. Completely underrated to this day. It's basically a 10 out of 10 game, in my opinion. It's that good. Friggin' love that game. Fatal Labyrinth is on here. And some of the newer games, they've got Toe Jam and Earl number 1. Toe Jam and Earl number 2, very underrated game. They've got Alien Soldier. They've got Sword of Vermilion. They've got Landstalker, which was a competitor to Zelda for the Super Nintendo. So a lot of great games on here. Over 50 of them, guys. check it out. I'm telling you, get it just for gaining ground alone. 2-player co-op. Just trying to refamiliarize myself with the buttons here. Oh man. I don't like the jump button. Probably it would feel more natural if I had a real Sega controller. Definitely want that one up. So you can't jump and shoot. That's interesting. You kind of have to stop, I guess. I don't remember that. Now, I've died on this boss before, but I know he's beatable first try as well. Okay, I don't remember it being that easy. I think I got a little bit lucky in my positioning. It's all about positioning. It's just the first boss in the game. It's pretty easy. This is SWAT, one of the best games on the Sega Genesis. Hands down and completely underrated in my opinion. And for those of you that stuck around, I've got a bonus game for you. Random bonus game of the day. This is Build-A-Bear Workshop. A friend for all seasons. Is this shovelware? Well, it is 4-player. Is it a hidden gem? Or is it complete garbage? That is the question. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I am trying to get to over 9,000 subscribers, on my way to collecting over 9,000 retro video games. I'm about to fill up. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm trying to get to over 9,000 subscribers. On my way to collecting over 9,000 retro video games. I'm trying to fill up this entire house with nothing but games. And I'm getting pretty close because I'm running out of shelf space. Okay, who are we kidding? I'm already out of shelf space. I got games sitting on the floor. In that room over there, I'm embarrassed to tell you, I have games all over the floors again. And that's after I had recently bought more shelves. I don't have any space to put any more shelves. It's only a matter of time before I start sleeping on stacks of Super Nintendo games. And unless you have a better idea, what would you do in this situation? Trying to collect over 9,000 games, and I don't have space for 9,000 games. You know, when somebody says 9,000 games, you don't, in your mind, you don't think that would be way too many games. You think, I could probably get enough shelves for 9,000 games. I could get enough space in the house for that. Well, why don't you try it, buddy? It's not that easy.